Hello to all of the Real Progressives out there. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Start with Real Progressives plugs as usual. You guys know the drill. If you want to learn more about us or support our organization, find any of our content, articles, podcasts, etc., go to realprogressives.org. You can also find our Patreon there if you'd like to contribute to our organization. Every little bit helps, you guys. We very much appreciate the help. We're engaged in media, education, activism, organizing, all this kind of stuff. So please go to our website if you want to contribute or learn more about us. We have an update here on the situation in Haiti. I've covered this a few times. It's kind of a crazy situation that's happening. And the president, or I'm sorry, the prime minister now has been sort of implicated in the assassination of former President Jovenel Moïse. Who it gets so messy. So we're just going to go ahead and read here from Reuters. Haiti Prime Minister fires prosecutor seeking charges against him in president's killing. This is by Sarah Marsh. Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry on Tuesday replaced the chief public prosecutor who had been seeking charges against him as a suspect in the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse, plunging the country into a fresh political crisis. Moïse was shot dead on July 7th when assassins stormed his private residence in the hills above Port-au-Prince. The 53-year-old had been governing by decree for more than a year after Haiti failed to hold legislative and municipal elections amid a political gridlock and had faced many calls to step down. His death has left Haiti in an even deeper constitutional and political crisis, as it has only a handful of elected officials nationwide. Henry, a political moderate and neurosurgeon whom Moïse named prime minister just days before his death in an attempt to reduce political tensions, has sought to forge a new consensus between different political factions. But allegations over his possible involvement in Moïse's killing are now overshadowing that. Prosecutor Bedford Claude said last week that phone records showed Henry had twice communicated with a man believed to be the mastermind behind Moïse's killing on the night of the crime. That suspect, a former Justice Ministry official whom Henry has publicly defended, is now on the run. Henry dismissed his request to discuss the matter as politicking and did not respond to the allegations. That prompted, I'm reading like shit today, Claude to write on Tuesday to the judge overseeing the investigation into Moïse's slaying and ask him to charge Henry as a suspect. He also wrote to Haitian Migration Services ordering them not to let the prime minister leave the country due to serious presumption relative to the assassination of the president. Later on Tuesday, a letter from Henry to Claude dated September 13th emerged in which he said he was firing him for grave administrative error without going into detail. In a separate letter dated September 14th, he named France Louis Just, excuse me if I get that name wrong, to the post. So this it's an already insane situation. You guys, there's so much like corruption and self-interest going on between all of the players in this whole ordeal. As I've mentioned before, the United States was supporting Moïse as he overstayed his term, as he refused to hold elections, which meant that their legislative bodies were left very short. The Senate's supposed to have 30 members. It only had 10 because those elections were not held. Moïse was himself trying to rewrite the Constitution at the time of his assassination. And then the United States supported Ariel Henry. So it seems like they were supporting both sides of this. They supported his appointing Henry to prime minister, who now appears to be implicated in Moïse's death. So the United States on both sides of this, kind of like, well, in a very different way, but kind of like how the United States was on both sides of the Syrian civil war, and probably is still on both sides of the Syrian civil war. So this is just an absolute clusterfuck. I really don't know how else to term it. This is a complete mess, and it's very hard to know who to trust or who to listen to or what the situation is down there. And we'll see what happens going forward. Haiti obviously has been pretty well destroyed by the United States foreign policy. They had at one point the only successful slave rebellion that I'm aware of. It was a great success story. And then you had the Duvalier family, the Baby Doc and Papa Doc, come in and just oppress the poor to degrees that are very hard to describe. You struggle to find a regime in the history of the world that can compete with the way that they oppress the poor. United States supported that, and now had supported Moïse as he unilaterally made changes to the Constitution and held office without any elections at all. So our role in this has been a very bad role, and it's contributed to the unrest and the destabilization of Haiti that has allowed for the situation that currently exists, which is one of deep confusion and unrest. So we'll keep up with that story as new developments come to light.